What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Out here for a walk with Dexter. Hey, Dexter. And I was just thinking about video game journalists in general and if they're even necessary in the modern era of technology. Smash JT. When you consider YouTube specifically, but also you have other forms of social media between Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, among a slew of others. Is it really necessary for journalists? And I think right there answers the question that we've all been wondering is no. That's why they're activists, because that's the only reason for them to exist. If they could be successful in the modern era, they would go start their own social media brand and use the passion of gaming to drive them. But they don't do that. They continue to work for these giant conglomerates and pushing narratives and agendas. And right there explains exactly what the issue is with the video game industry today. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, we need a game crash. We need a reset button to be hit for it to go back to the way it was. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe what needs to happen is we need to have a crash of journalism. We need to get rid of the industry of journalism. They need to go away. They need to stop being promoted and stop being paid for by these giant corporations. Because by far and large, YouTubers, even smaller YouTubers, get more attention per capita than they do from these giant organizations, which in turn causes them to be more outlandish, more ridiculous, more sensational with their topics to get a narrative and agenda pushed so that people will click, so that people will pay attention. And I think it explains the reason why so many of them have started to attack YouTubers, because we are, in their eyes, the enemy. We are a threat to their career choice. We are a threat to their financial stability in their life that they've built it upon for whatever reason. But all we're doing is following our passion. All we're doing is talking about video games. All we're doing is caring about the industry, something that they have shown time and time again that they don't give two shits about. So I think it's a fascinating situation that we're living in right now, where journalists themselves don't know where to turn, don't know how to explain why their job is even justified anymore, because they know deep down that they're not necessary. They could all go away yesterday and literally nothing would change. Take the summer game event that's going on with Jeff Keighley right now. As long as that's being streamed on YouTube, YouTubers and social media influencers and anyone can just watch it themselves. Previously, we used to have magazines to disperse the information, and then we'd have to have alternative outlets give us the information. But it's gotten to the point where things have gotten so widespread and popular, and the ability to get the information out there is so accessible that we don't need it anymore. Look at like Nintendo Directs or PlayStation Directs or Xbox Directs, whatever the hell they call them, the copies of them. We can watch those directly ourselves and make our own decisions on what we feel. Or if we want to find out what someone who is far more experienced has in store or what they think about it, we can watch what their thoughts are on it. And bonus, if these quote unquote journalists feel like they can add some input and influence over what's transpiring, like I said, they're free to start their own channel, their own social media site and use it to disperse the information. But again, they can't do it because deep down they know they will not be successful doing it because they don't give a shit about gaming. That's the reality. Like, that's the ultimate situation that we're in right now. It's happening right now. So I don't know how much longer journalists can survive in this environment for. I don't know who's paying their bills, but as we've seen, it's becoming a smaller and smaller industry, more consolidated as time goes on, more purchasing, acquisitions, more layoffs. And it's coming to like a central point of zero where the zero sum, these people will be out of work sooner than later. And the writing is on the wall. Like, they see it, they know it, and they're proactively lashing out right now at people like me who are just straight up telling them, we don't need you. We don't want you. There is no justification for your position right now. So start applying other places. Find a job somewhere else where the world needs you. But this, the video game industry, this ain't it. Take, for example, someone who I used to respect, someone who I felt like there used to be a need for. Jason Schreier, who just recently wrote an article for Bloomberg, a former Kotaku employee, Jason Schreier, and it was a very one-sided, angled approach as to why Suicide Squad failed. But the ironic thing about him talking about why Suicide Squad failed was he failed to mention anything about Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement with it, showing an inherent bias towards the video game industry and a specific angle and approach that he took to disseminating the information to the readers, and then tried to back it up and defend his stance by saying, oh, no, that's not what it is. And if you're trying to say that Sweet Baby Inc. had any involvement with why the game failed, you're the problem. And it got me thinking, like, these journalists have become more of a mouthpiece for corporations to spew propaganda than anything. They're not giving information. They're not giving the full story. If anything, I've seen time and time again the exact opposite of that. These people don't give a shit about getting the truth out there. They care about the agenda and pushing a narrative forward. And it goes back to the point of there's no need for journalists to even exist anymore in the video game industry as it stands currently. And I know people look at the, all these journalists going to Summer Game Fest and having fun, getting flights paid for them, getting tickets, getting wined and dined. And me talking about it looks like pure jealousy. But it's genuinely not. I'm at a point of confusion. Like, who's paying for all this? Why are they being supported? Who's purchasing this? What's propping it up? Those are the questions that I have, because I look at what they've been writing, what they've been talking about, how they've been handling themselves on social media, and it's anything but professional. It's anything but informative. It's everything the exact opposite. Like, these people do not care about gamers. They've proven time and time again to do the exact opposite, be corporate mouthpieces. And gamers who are starting to rise up and see exactly what's transpiring are being shunned, are being mocked, ridiculed, laughed at by them. They're trying to silence people like me before the truth gets out there to justify their existence for a little bit more time, just to squeeze a little bit more blood out of the stone that they got right now. Because right now, the game industry is in dire straits. And it's crashing down, like, all around them. People are being let go left and right who work in the industry. Journalists as well, left and right. But ultimately, games will succeed and survive based off of the quality, the storyline, the narrative, the true artistic vision of the developers and the passion behind it. Not this SBI BS that gets injected into it to make sure there's equality, diversity, and representation of marginalized voices. Gamers don't give a shit about any of that. And that's been readily apparent. We all know it. We all see it. But for some reason, these journalists keep propagating the lie, this narrative that, oh no, if you just care enough and try enough to like it, eventually it will just click. And you can stop complaining about it, because we need to justify these pointless positions that we have to make sure we keep getting a paycheck. Because ultimately, that's what it boils down to. It's gross. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's the state of the video game industry as we stand right now. And I think sometime in the future, people will look back at this time and they'll be like, those were the dark days of gaming. Those were the dark ages. And it was a tough time that we all eventually got through, but not without a lot of friction between these so-called quote-unquote journalists who are really activists posing as journalists. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And we just gotta work to get through this. And time has to pass, and we have to keep fighting the good fight. So thank you guys again for all the support you've given. It's been an incredible ride on the channel, and I really feel like I've found my purpose on the platform. I've been doing this for like 8 years, and I love gaming. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. And you guys have supported me so much throughout it. So again, thank you so much for that. This is the future of games journalism. and I ain't a journalist.